Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Bjorn Strid to the podcast. Bjorn is obviously most well known as the frontman for Soilwork, but Bjorn has also fronted the Night Flight Orchestra for nearly 2 decades. The Night Flight Orchestra released their Napalm Records debut, Give Us the Moon, last Friday. Bjorn talks about the eclectic music scene in Sweden, his desire to do something outside of metal, which led to the Night Flight Orchestra, how the band's sound has shifted, creating music that's genuine, honoring Dave Andersson on this record, and more. Give Us the Moon is a truly incredible record, and I highly recommend giving it a spin, whether it's your first time listening to the Night Flight Orchestra or not. Thanks for listening to this episode of As the Story Grows. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. You can find links in the show notes or over at asthestorygrows.com to our podcast mailing list, our community on Discord, or you can support the show financially and get early access to every episode on Patreon. And I would love it if you subscribed on your podcast platform of choice so you never miss an episode. Enjoy today's conversation with Bjorn Strid. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Where are you currently?
I'm in my little vocal studio in the city of Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay. Nice. What took you to Stockholm eventually? I know you're from a small town originally.
Yeah, I mean, I've been all over the place, really. I even lived in Toronto for 4 years. I was there and moved back in 2015, and then I moved back to where I'm from, which is way down south in Sweden, along the west coast, close to Malmo. I don't know if you heard of Malmo, maybe.
Yeah,
close there, and lived there for 2 years, and then I met my wife there, and we decided to give Stockholm a shot. And we've been here since 2017, and we're liking it.
That's awesome. Awesome. What was living in Toronto in North America like for you?
Toronto was awesome. I love that city. It's great, and I do miss it at times. And I mean, I just love being able to, watch hockey every day. I mean, I'm a Leafs fan, so it's not the same here since I moved back home. It's like I need to stay up until 1, 2 in the morning. It's like no, I'm not going to do that. So no, I used to play hockey myself, and I do love hockey. I lost it a little bit since I moved back, but it's been more soccer or football here. So.
Yeah. It's a difficult time zone change. Even on the East Coast of the United States, I'm a Capitals fan, so they played Seattle last night. And it was 10 o'clock, and I was like, I can't watch this game. I gotta go to bed.
It's getting too late. Yeah,
it's too late. My kids are gonna wake me up.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just start. What got you into music?
What got me into music? I don't know. I did just my first memories from music is when I was maybe 3, 4 years old, and I just loved how melodies made me feel. There was something about it, and I just connected to that. And but as a kid, I was more into sports. I loved music. My mom was playing a lot of cassettes in the car back then, and I just loved listening to it, and it was all kinds of music, really. But I discovered heavy metal when I was 7 years old. No, maybe 6, I would say, because somebody was playing Wasp and Maiden and Kiss in the kindergarten. So that was pretty cool. And I really got into that, and then I forced my mom to buy a Number of the Beast tape at a gas station with Maiden when I was 7, and that something happened there for sure. But that I kept listening to other types of music too. So I've always been like all over the place musically.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There was just something about music. But then again, I was a sports kid. Like I was playing soccer and hockey. You know,
Okay.
I was going to practice like 5-6 days of the week. You know, and just love listening to music. And then when I started junior high, I met some people that were really into music, and then one of the guys' dad had like a full rehearsal space in the basement of the house.
Oh, wow.
And we started jamming there, and it was really cool. I was most into drums, I would say, at first. And then it became guitar, but I also tried like to sing a bit, and I kind of liked it, but I was more into guitar in the end.
Nice.
So I very randomly became a singer later on in high school when I met Peter Witchers for the first time, and then that's when we formed Soilwork. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you weren't like a choir kid who had any sort of singing. It was just kind of accidental frontman, right?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, I like that. Maybe I could sort of sense that I could I guess I'm okay with singing,
Yeah.
And mostly I felt like I was good at creating melodies at a pretty early stage. But I didn't really have the confidence to sing, but so I guess it started like, I'm just going to start screaming instead, that seems to be easier somehow, but it wasn't. But yeah, especially when you started doing your first tours, it was really hard to maintain a really good screamy voice. But yeah.
Eventually you take lessons or learn how to do it properly, so you're not blowing your voice out and are more consistent, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I only took like 3 lessons in my life, and that was right before I practiced portrait with Soilwork, and because we started adding more clean vocals, and I guess I just needed a bit more sort of a confirmation that I could pull it off. So I started seeing this vocal coach, and he sort of gave me that confirmation and the confidence, and yeah, that's really how it went, and then we did Natural Born Chaos and had Devin Townsend produce the vocals. So that was that was a whole different, whole new level right there. And so that gave me a lot of encouragement as well from him, so that was really an important album to make.
Did you guys have a good music scene, whether it was metal or, just rock or whatever, to be a part of locally?
Yeah, I mean, this city that I was growing up in, called Landskrona, which is a bit north of Malmö. There was a lot of creative people there, and everybody was hanging out. Some people were playing punk. I played punk, crust punk, played guitar, and then there was a lot of reggae as well. That city is sort of known for reggae, and a lot of punk, a lot of reggae, a lot of thrash, death metal. But everybody was hanging out together, which was really cool. And I don't really see that happening today in the same way. So that was pretty cool. But it's very much of a sort of like a working class town. There was like a wharf there, and yeah, it was a really cool vibe and good hangouts. And I was really all over the place. I was playing guitar in that punk band, and then I was also playing a ska reggae band. Then I started a black metal band. So I mean, there you go. It's really all over the place.
Yeah. Just kind of, as long as you could play music, it didn't really matter what you were doing.
No, it was fun. I was experimenting. And I think I'm pretty open to a lot of music. So
yeah. Because you're open to a lot of music, you're here to talk about the new Night Flight Orchestra record. How did this project get started? What made you want to, playing in Soilwork and these other metal bands, decide to do something more in a kind of classic rock vein? At least that's what the band originally was. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, after a while, being in Soilwork, I wanted to try out something completely different, and I had other side projects like Terra 2000, which was thrash, so it was not too far up from what Soilwork was doing. And I guess when I met David Andersson for the first time, and when he was the session guitar player for Soilwork on a North American tour in 2007, he kind of gave me the encouragement and sort of the idea of we bonded so much over like 70s and 80s music, and we wanted to create a band that would be sort of like a soundtrack of being on the road, so the seed was planted there in 2007, but we didn't get together and found the right members until 2009. And, we got together for the first time rehearsing and jamming. And it's like, it was something really magical happening right there and then. It made me really, it was a whole new, dimension opening right there. And I just felt like doing something completely different, and so a lot of things happened there, and gave me a lot of confidence as a singer as well. That I, at first I was, is kind of, I was just curious, like I could sort of hear it in my head that I can pull it off, but but so I didn't really have that confidence. But after a while, it's like, wow, this is really working out, and I love doing this, and so it became a real band, pretty shortly, shortly after that, and we started writing a lot of songs, and it felt like, wow, this has something really special, and didn't take long before we felt like, oh, we want to share this with the world. This is really cool. This is good, and. But I mean, we're really all over the place, and it's like coming from the metal world, that it was kind of hard to find labels. It's like, oh, well, you guys are in death metal bands. Why are you doing this? It's like, right. No, I mean, after a while, I think people realized that we were really sincere about it. It was not like a vanity project. Like, I mean, look at us, we can sound like Foreigner in 1978. It's like, it's so much more than that. And, multi-layered, and so we managed to evolve a lot and develop the band, and thankfully we got labels believing in us. Started with an Italian label called Napalm Records, and then Nuclear Blast picked us up. We stayed with them up until now, and we signed with Napalm Records after our deal with Nuclear Blast ran out. We wanted to try something different, so it's been an interesting journey. It's and I feel like what's really cool about this band is that we can almost move between genres, and it's still making sense, and we're sort of tying everything together. And it is classic rock or AOR, but it's very diverse still, I think. Yeah. It's kind of like anything goes band, and it makes it, you get really high on that fact that you can do whatever you want, and most of the times you manage to tie it together. Yeah. You kind of answered my question. I was wondering if that decision. Sorry, I'm going off. No, because it was like those first, I don't know, two or three records that were on Korn, or it's like, it's difficult to get labels to kind of take the band seriously. But when you present this new band that has this classic rock sound or whatever, are you worried that, like, you're this metal guy, you have this metal reputation, that people are going to hate it? Or are you just like, this is fun for me and you don't care what people are going to think? Or do you kind of like being like, people are going to tune it in and be like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. No, I mean, I knew it was something that I had to do. So in the end, I wouldn't have cared. But of course, it made it easier with people really loving it, and we haven't received that much negative criticism from the metal world, and I expected to get a lot more like, hey, what are you doing? Like, stop whatever this funny business with Night Flight Orchestra and focus on Soilwork instead. You're a metalhead, or what's going on. But none of that. People really appreciate it, and they could probably feel that it was really sincere, and you could feel the presence in the music, even though we had these gimmicks. There's like, wearing a beret and a cape, and like it's like what is this? Stewardesses on stage. But people really liked it, and
Yeah.
they could feel that we really meant it, and I don't know. You can't, I usually you can't fool a metalhead, if they feel that it's just like a vanity project or whatever,
Yeah.
and somebody who's just trying to be something, then they can see right through it, So
yeah. I mean, as a person, I love breakdowns and the fastest, heaviest stuff there is, but also in like the last 5-10 years, it's like I also love big choruses. It's why bands like Soilwork and In Flames and like Nightwish and even this project, like I love a catchy hook, right? Like
yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Listening back to Internal Affairs today and kind of going through the discography, like there's been this growth. Is that just kind of a comfortability with each other as musicians, or with each album are you like, we could push the envelope a little farther than we did last time?
Yeah, I mean, we like to push things, and like from the get-go, we wanted to be very over the top with everything. It's like, and I remember David was especially really pushing for that. It's like where I felt like it's like, okay, I think this song is over, and I was like, no, we're gonna go on for another 2 minutes. Like, why? Because we're over the top, because we can. It's like, so there was always that kind of discussion going, but I don't know. We just managed to develop our sound, and I think it's only natural, and it started a bit as an experiment. When you listen to Internal Affairs, it's like, it's all over the place, as which is also the case now, but it's more focused somehow. I don't know. It's kind of hard to. It's a bit more sort of trembling on Internal Affairs, but it definitely has its charm and really great songs, But I think we gradually became more, sort of like late 70s, early 80s influenced band, and with all the music that was happening at the time, and sort of took that tradition in the way of performing and writing and wanted to bring that with us and fill a void, I guess, in the music scene. At least we felt like we were, we felt like we were on a mission. It's like, we don't hear this out here. And it's like, it's mostly about, we see all these retro rock bands, there's, doing sort of Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath-esque music, but why is nobody capturing like the late 70s and early 80s, like 77 to 83? That for me, that's like that's the magical pocket right there, And so we wanted to take that tradition, and we felt that it was something timeless, and not just, we didn't want the band to be all about nostalgia, and of course it brings you back to your childhood, and there's plenty of nostalgia, obviously, but it needed to make sense in today's music scene as well. And we've gotten a lot of response from people saying that, I didn't even know that I missed this kind of music, but it sounds so refreshing, And we get that just as much as people saying, "Oh, this sounds like something that when I was a kid." We get a little bit of both. So I think it's definitely filling a purpose, and obviously we love doing it, and I think you can definitely hear that when you listen to our music, and and I would say especially with this new album as well. I think there's so much emotion running through it, and feels very empowering,
Yeah. There's definitely, especially on this new record, moments that like there's like disco influence or new wave influence, but it's not like cheesy or like in like a bad way. It's like, right. I don't know, it feels natural, and like it's fun. Like the music is fun.
No, it's fun, but it's also serious. I don't know. Yeah. I think it's kind of hard to explain it really, but it is uplifting, and it's a fun band, but it's also super like multi-layered, and there's there's some melancholy running through it as well, which is an important sort of classic Swedish ingredient, ABBA style, and because it was the same with ABBA. It's like some people sort of just slag them off as, oh, is that, disco band from Sweden? It's like, yeah, but you should listen to all of their albums. There's some pretty heavy stuff, like dark stuff in there as well, and that's how we want this band to be. We want it to be multi-layered and playing with so many emotions, and yeah, I mean, just listen to the albums, and you'll definitely feel it.
As you mentioned, this is your first record with Napalm Records. What led you to Napalm, and kind of why are they the right label for this release?
I guess we just wanted to try out something different. We've been with Nuclear Blast for quite some time now, and the deal ran out, and we liked what Napalm Records were doing. They seemed to be thinking a bit outside the box, and I think that this band really needs that, because we're sticking out quite a bit, and we wanted to try something different. As simple as that. I mean, the deal is pretty much the same. It's definitely not about money. It's so it's we just liked how they were thinking, and they also have a really good North American office who seems to be doing really great things. So that's we also want to be able to come over and do a bit of touring.
Album's called Give Us the Moon. Where'd the title and concept for the album come from?
Well, I mean, making this album is one of the hardest things I've ever done. As much as, we had so much fun doing it, but it was really tough, especially with the passing of our guitarist, David Andersson, and so we had to take our time, and, we had obviously to grieve, and try to regroup and try to find the joy in the music again, and in the end turn it into something really creative and make ourselves proud. And also David, I really hope he can hear it somehow, and hopefully smiling down at us from somewhere. And and obviously we also wanted to show the doubters out there that we can still pull this off, because David was very unique, as a songwriter. And going through this, it's been quite a journey, and coming out on the other side and feeling like we've done everything we possibly could to make the best album, and it's a great feeling. And it was almost like we were saying, now give us the moon, will you? It was sort of that feeling. It's a little bit of a pat on the shoulder to ourselves, like, let's do this, and it's something to be proud of.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but on the album artwork, you have the little astronaut in the background. Is that supposed to represent Dave in any way?
It is.
It is? Okay.
That's David right there.
Nice.
Well spotted.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. When you're sitting down, you get Soilwork put out a record 2022. When you're sitting down between the two bands, like what type of, I don't know, is there a switch you have to flip when trying to write lyrics between the two? Because you're probably taking different approaches.
Yeah, I mean, it's I definitely know what hat I'm wearing, so to speak, and yeah, I mean, the switch is very easy somehow, believe it or not. But I mean, it's very different musical expressions.
Right.
Both bands represent me in a really good way, I would say, in my personality, and it's I think it's more like the logistics that's the toughest part, and trying to divide the album cycles and touring cycles, and to not bleed into each other too much, and then getting some rest in between as well. I think that's the toughest challenge. But as far as switching between the two bands musically and writing songs, I definitely know what I'm doing. So it's never really a scenario where I'm sitting like I'm writing songs like, is this going to be for Soilwork or Night Flight? It's like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Album's out end of the month. You guys start a European tour. Is that the only thing you guys have planned for 2025, is to do this European tour? And then I don't know, are you switching your attention to Rest or Soilwork or? No,
there's going to be a bunch of stuff announced pretty soon. And on the North American side of things. We're doing Prog Power in September, and so we're going to try to book some dates around that. So that's what we're working on right now. There will be some stuff in the summer as well, some festivals. Yeah, I mean, I can't really say much more right now, but there's going to be a bunch of stuff announced. Yeah. So we'll be busy for sure. Yeah. And so this will be mostly about Night Flight this year, and we'll do songwriting for Soilwork basically.